Alright guys, another cassette deck video. This one is for repair. So this is a Yamaha Natural Sound KX-393. This is a friend of mine's. He recently moved or something like that, or moved it from one place to another and dropped it. And in the process of dropping it, he's lost the top off the door, the cover, and this door seems to have developed a bit of play. Now whether it's something that we can actually fix or repair, I'm not sure. I'm not going to do belts on this one. I did belts on this maybe a year ago or something like that. It's been in his garage ever since. It's manky inside, all inside the bottom of the tape deck is full of something because he's been using it without the cover on. It developed a fault where it wasn't recognising tapes. Now when I first tried this today, it wouldn't recognise the tape, and the not recognising of a tape is to do with the switch inside here in the top, whereas when you put a tape in, it'll detect what type it is. So it says 1/normal there, as you can see. If it doesn't detect a tape, because it's all newfangled in 90s, it won't play, it won't do anything. So at the moment this is running fine now. Perhaps it was just a dirty switch when I first picked it up and plugged it in about 10 minutes ago. I'm struggling to recreate the fault for the video, but I know the fault's there. Well, whether it's to do with this door, I'm not entirely sure it is, because the tape is held in place by the transport itself. But I know for a fact that that tape selector switch needs cleaning or repairing or something, and he's looking at. So the intentions for this is not to do belts in a service, but a repair. I'm going to try and get hold of a new door for this. I think I've got a front panel and stuff off one of these somewhere, so I will have a look and see if I have a door. But when the tape's playing and when it's working, it sounds tremendous. And to be honest with you, all these Yamaha decks generally are good. I have no problem with the natural sound decks from Yamaha. I think that they sound amazing throughout. This has got loads of cool little things: bias, adjust, play, trim. It's got auto tape tuning on it as well. So although it's probably not a higher end of their range, it has got some really nice features on it. It has Dolby B&C, MPX for anybody that's calling off the radio, and it has nice natural sound heads and coding inside it. So I'm going to take the top off, see if I can get to this transport and have a look at why this transport door is flapping about all over the place. Now whether it's something we can fix, I hope it is, but let's have a look and we'll clean those switches up as well. Hark the sad sign of technology. There's not much in this. This is the joy of 90s decks, I suppose. Small little power supply, one circuit board, and a transport that has a lot of plastic parts in it by the look of it. I think that might even be a plastic capstan. It could be. I think it is. But as I say, it runs and plays amazing. I just need to get a transport and have a look as to what's going on. This almost reminds me of CD transport. So I think we've got 1, 2, 3 and a 4th screw down there, and then I think the whole transport will go out the front. So let's do that. Even better than that, once these feet are removed from the bottom, it comes out towards us. So I'm going to disconnect these plugs if I can. No, I can't. Let's see if I can get this to a place where we can work on it. So the plugs are the types where you kind of slide the connector out, I think. No, there. That's good. Okay, so we can resuit that in a bit. I don't think we're going to have the same look from the head connectors. No, we're not, because we can remove those from the board and then we're free. These connectors are crazily good at doing their jobs. And the same with this one. Okay, so now we have feed those through there, and now we have a transport completely removed. So now the transport's out then, this is our eject lever, and it would seem that the door looks fine. It's loose on that side, but not on that side. It's almost like actually just a spring's missing. Like, do we have a spring here? We do have a big spring on that side and no spring on this side. I think it's a spring that's gone. How that happens, I don't know. So perhaps if I can just focus there. I think it's just a spring's missing. No, I have no idea how anybody does that or how it happens. But I would definitely say it's time to find a spring, and it's time to clean out some of this dust and muck out of it. It's been running without a door on it for a bit, so perhaps I can remove that spring. Do we have a space? Yes, we do. Yeah, so it's the same setup on both sides. No idea how that's happened, but we have an example of a spring on this side that perhaps we can recreate, if that'll come off. It's amazing it won't come off when you want it to come off, but then one's missing. How does that work? Maybe we can get some spring steel and create one. And we're nearly there. I bet this is painful to watch. No, I think it's held in place by a kind of melted bit of plastic there. So it's pretty straightforward spring from the look of it. So you can find some spring steel and create a new spring. So a repair has been effected. Now, on one side of the transport is a spring, okay, and I was pretty convinced that the other side is missing a spring. But on looking at the service manual, it doesn't have a spring on that side. It seems like a fatal design flaw for that other side to be flapping about. So we have jury rigged, but it's basically a spare belt, as you can see, and this puts just enough tension on so that when we eject the mechanism, that side is not flapping about. It ejects fine, everybody's happy. I did try a spring, I did put some springing on it, and the spring actually made the door sit wonky. This side of the transport needs to be kind of sucked in when it's fitted. So pretty straightforward, and I think it actually works quite well. So I'll stick it back in and we can test it. Before we do, I just want to give these leaf springs a bit of a clean up if I can get the covers off. And there we go. We're back in. Perfect. It ejects flat, and when you stick it back in again, it also remains flat against the front plate, which was honestly the thing that was annoying me. It just wasn't being retained properly, and now this isn't flapping about all over the place. So a little modification there, and it'll mean now that it's not going to get stuck in the no tape scenario and not play. First thing's a speed test then. The usual place for adjusting the pot on our motor is the hole on the back there. And I always say use a ceramic screwdriver. Just don't touch anything high voltage when you do it. That's us in there. And then you can run the test and adjust as you see fit. Because it's ceramic, nobody gets electrocuted. So running the first speed test then gave me 6.2 kilohertz. It should be 6.3. So I'll turn it up a little bit, 6.375, err on the side of caution, all good. Just came on to set up the azimuth, which is the left-hand screw on the head there, and I forgot that I'd done it last year, so quite nicely, azimuth's good. That's both channels you're seeing there, and they're almost left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. As the Italians say, mamma mia, happy days. So speed and azimuth pretty good. I'm not sure what happened with the speed, it should have been correct as well, but either way, now that the speed's corrected, that azimuth is sweet. This is off the same model, but it has some kind of bias on it. But the door is the same. It even seems to match just right, to be honest with you. And it ejects perfectly. Bit dusty as well actually. So I think we have one with this one. Tape selector is selecting tapes, and everything else is working like a charm. All the buttons are working, and tape is taping. So the last thing to do is to do a record function test. So what I'm going to do is put a 6 kilohertz. I think we'll go 3 kilohertz today, go crazy. 3 kilohertz, tone in, record it, and then play it back, and it should match. Basically, that's the idea. So I'm going to try this auto tape tuning. I've got a tape in there, rewound to the beginning. Not entirely sure how to work it. You got to press record first. So from what I understand, usually it'll record some tones, play it back to itself, and it should set the bias and everything for you. And that's it, playing it back to itself. And I shouldn't have to touch. That's it, we're ready to go. So let's input our tone. So I'm doing it off YouTube again as a bit of a skinflint because I can't bother getting a signal generator. And that is an advert on YouTube. I don't know whose advert it is, but we're getting a response back through our inputs. So I'm just going to crank it up a little bit. And that is us 3 kilohertz. So I'm going to do it at minus 10. There we go, minus 10. So we will press play, I'm going to say. And that should now be recording 3 kilohertz at minus 10. And I'll let that do its thing. So there we go, free advertising for the video that I used 3 kilohertz. We're now rewound and we just have to press play and see what that tone sounds like and stick it through our spectrometer and it should give us 3 kilohertz. So here we go then, I'm playing that back now and 3000, you see the line on the bottom right there, 3000 hertz, 3 kilohertz, exactly what we expected and wanted. Good, that's done. Right, perfect, that brings us to an end now. I'm going to do a cheeky little record of some Foreigner, Don't Tell the Police, and I'm just going to fire one track through it and then I'll have a listen through the amplifier. I'm pretty 100% confident, should we say, not pretty confident that it's going to be absolutely fine, but this has been pretty straightforward fix and a nice little bit of calibration as well towards the end there, so I'm happy with that. And that's us. Chalk another one up to be saved then. This one was actually destined for the tip when I was around my mate's house. He said he was just going to skip it because he thought it was done. But in actual fact, with a little bit of calibration and I had a couple of spare parts lying about, this is a really nice sounding deck. The features on it, the bias adjust and play trim, you don't see those on lower end decks. And yet here we are in the 90s, everything's been upgraded and you know time's moved on and these are available to the consumer. It's playing well. I've been listening to all sorts on it, Foreigner and Toto and bits and bobs. I have no problems with this deck now sitting in any rack anywhere. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. 80% of my viewers don't subscribe. Please do.